If you're feeling stuck, like you're in a rut, keep watching. I'm Damon, this is Life Mastery Gym, and I teach people just like you cutting-edge NLP processes and techniques so you can take charge of your life and master your destiny. So if that sounds good, make sure you click that subscribe button right down here. So I get a lot of people asking me about this. How do I stay motivated? How do I see something through to the end? I have a goal and I keep quitting. I get stuck in a rut. I lose my motivation. How do I get around that? So by the end of this video, you're going to understand why and what you can do about it. For the past several years, I've done tons of work on myself in this area, and this is probably the biggest thing that I help my coaching clients with. Before I dive into this, as always, if you have questions or comments, I really encourage you to put them in the comment section down below so that when I answer them, everybody can see my answer and everybody can benefit from it. But if you want to send me an email, I'm okay with that too. Also, you'll find in the description below, there is a link and it will give you free and immediate access to what I'm going to describe later at the end of this video. But if you're in a rush or you don't have the patience, go ahead and go down to the description and click that link. Chances are, if you clicked on this link, you need this video. Why would I say that? Well, because if you notice, the title of this video is stated in the negative. And if this title spoke to you, it's probably because that's how you're thinking about motivation. And that is actually not the way that you want to think about motivation. If you're thinking about it in terms of, I don't want to be lazy and I don't want to be unmotivated, well, that gives you no place to go. That only gets you wanting to move away from what it is you don't want, which is to be unmotivated or not lazy. So you need to shift this and state this in the positive. What is the opposite of being lazy? Well, for me, it's being proactive, but you need to find your own word for that. What is the opposite of being lazy to you? Now, the opposite of being unmotivated, it's obvious, it's being motivated. So instead of saying, oh, I don't want to be lazy and I don't want to be unmotivated, say something more along the lines of like, I want to be proactive and I want to be motivated. And then from there, we can go somewhere. Because if you're focused on what it is that you don't want, it's like getting into, say, a cab, a taxi, and telling the driver where you don't want to go. Well, you're not going to go anywhere. Now, next, you need to take this even deeper. So it's one thing to state it in the positive, and that's a first really good step. So instead of focusing on what you don't want, focus on what you do want, but then take this even deeper, because there are much deeper unconscious values that is where the motivation actually lies. This is where the gold is. Few people ever really tap into what are the deeper unconscious values that are driving you to want something, that are driving you to make all of the decisions that you make. Once you know those, these are the same things. These values will drive you to follow through with what it is that you want to follow through with, whether it's a goal or some sort of achievement or just something in general that you want to be able to do. And that's why I created the free PDF right down here below in the description. When you click on that, I have a process there for you for eliciting these values, for pulling out these deeper unconscious values. And the questions are basically, what is important to you about being motivated? And what is important to you about being proactive, or whatever the word is for you that's the opposite of being lazy? And here's the other thing too. Make sure you pick something specific. So if you're saying, I want to be proactive and I want to be motivated, don't just leave it there. Say, I want to be proactive and I want to be motivated to do whatever it is. And don't say everything. A lot of people say, well, Damon, I want to be proactive and motivated to do everything. Okay, that's wonderful, but because everything is so broad, it's not going to help you very much. You need to chunk this down. So be specific about what it is you want to be motivated and proactive to do. Try to be as specific as possible. You don't need to be like granular. You don't need to be like so incredibly specific. Don't let that hang you up. Some people might say, well, I'm not specific enough, and they try to go at this over and over. Start with something. So if it's everything, okay, say one thing in particular. Choose a major life context. Say your career. I want to be motivated and proactive in my career. Okay, and then you can even chunk that down a little bit. Where in your career do you feel like you need the most work? And then focus on that. And so I would even write that statement down. I want to be motivated and proactive in blank part of my career. Now, the third and final part of this is the obstacle. So what has stopped you from being motivated? What has stopped you from being proactive, or whatever it is that you want to be in relation to whatever it is that you want to accomplish? There are both internal obstacles and external obstacles. Now, the external obstacles is what most people blame their laziness on. Well, if this wasn't this way, then I could do it. Well, a lot of times that's the easiest thing to overcome. The external obstacle is usually the easiest thing to overcome. It's the internal obstacles that are the doozies, the things that are really tripping you up. It's not the external obstacles. External obstacles are easy to get around. They're easy to find strategies. They're easy to find resources, people to help you get around it. It's not the external obstacle, in other words, it's the internal obstacle. So what is the internal obstacle that is holding you back? So to smoke out this internal obstacle, a great way to do that is to say, well, what's the worst that could happen? So if I were motivated and proactive in doing whatever it is that you want to do, what's the worst that could happen? Ask yourself that question and see what answer comes up. Chances are you've been holding on to something that's you're afraid of, but when you ask that question, you bring it out into the open, it oftentimes looks very irrational and even ridiculous at times, which is great. You bring this out into the open and you realize how irrational it is, how ridiculous it is, and then you just go, this was what was stopping me, and then it's usually easy to let that go. And if it still scares you a little bit, just ask yourself, well, what if that did happen? Just flat out ask, okay, the thing that I'm most afraid of, the worst thing that could possibly happen, what if it did? Is it life-threatening? Is it a true risk to your safety? Would it completely destroy you financially and you would never recover? Is it a mistake so big that you can never come back from? I seriously doubt it. It rarely ever is the case. So really get clear about that. Ask yourself, so what if you make a mistake? Is that what you're really afraid of? So if you made that mistake, then what? Could you not recover from that? And maybe you're saying, well, but yeah, I'd be humiliated or something like that. Okay, well, that's an external pressure. That's other people. That's none of your business. This is about you and this is your life. So you can either live it, not doing the things that you want to do and not living the dreams that you want to live because of what somebody else thinks, probably somebody who you don't really care too much about what they think anyway. Is that really what's holding you back? So put this all together. Connect with those values that you elicited and then ask yourself, what if I was motivated? What if I was connected to these values? What if the accomplishment, the thing that I want to accomplish, you can clearly see the values behind it, and you ask yourself, what if I was motivated and proactive in accomplishing this? What would that be like? Do I need anything else? Is anything else holding me back? Probably not. So go for it. As I mentioned earlier in the video, make sure you go down to the description right down below, click that link, and you'll get immediate access to that PDF that shows you how to elicit your values. If you like this video, make sure you click the thumbs up. And if you haven't already, make sure that you subscribe to this channel. Last but not least, if you can think of a friend or a family member who would like this video, who would benefit from this video, make sure you share it with them. Signing off from Stockholm, Sweden. Take care.